Hey guys, how's it going? Um, how's everything going? We have a battle today. It's going to be a 4v4 siege battle. We're defending I forgot what this settlement is called, really and truly. Oh well, wild elephants. Hey boys, yeah, better run. So yeah, damn, I forgot what the settlement is called. No problem. So we're fighting against Seleucids. We have Macedon over here. Carthage and Arveni, and ourselves we are Bactria. I believe Bactria was scrappy. We have Fetstop as Stylus, myself as Carthage, and we had Daniel as Athens. Yeah, I think it was Daniel. No, sorry. Got the hiccups as soon as I started casting this game. But I think that introduction was good. Maybe, perhaps. Yeah, so from my end, let's look what I brought. I got myself a pretty basic army, right? 4 Iberian swordsmen. Got myself Noble Cav over there. Oh, we already missed this. So I charged out with Celtic Light Horse, Companion Cavalry, and Numidian Noble Cav. And I took out the Ballista outright. He started sending troops my way, but taking out this Ballista with just 4 kills is pretty neat and does a lot of damage. These Numidian horses are ready to do damage. And yeah. Now, the one thing I could have done here, which would have saved me a lot of pain, I should have pulled back, but I didn't for some reason. I thought this was a good idea to charge back in with my Celtic Light Horse, which did get a few shots, but the problem were these Royal Peltas that were coming in. And I didn't, yeah, those Royal Peltas just flattened my cap over there. My Numidian Light Horse did really well against the Citizen Cav. In the rest, I had 4 units of Iberian Swords, 3 units of Cretan Archers, 1 unit of Slingers, and 3 units of Scutarii. I believe I had also 2 units of Semite Warriors instead of 1 unit of Noble Fighters. Of course, my general was Noble Cavalry. Athens is 4 basic archers, and got myself a mixture of Thorax Swords, Thorax Swordsman, and veteran Michelin stars. No, veteran Shield Hoplites. And I believe he had a pike unit or 2. Yeah, he had 2 pike units in reserve. Bactria with Persian light horses, lots of Thorax swordsmen holding the walls, and it seems, ooh, the Citizen Cav did not do that well. Yeah, the Citizen Cav could have done better in other places. In that situation, it wasn't doing that well at all. The sally out over here did not work at all. Anyway, Thorax Pikemen for Bactria in reserve and some Thorax swordsmen over here. Whereas Stylus, I'm not entirely sure what he was doing. He did get himself a lot of Celtic warriors, Celtic slingers, and he kept moving his units around, and he held most of his units of tribal warriors and Oathsworn in reserve, which was strange. Now, the assault on this front, I ended up losing, well, actually just 5 units of Numidian Noble Cav and 1 whole unit of Light Horse. I was thinking I could charge down here and see what damage I could do, but Royal Peltas and Taurus Spears were coming in, and definitely wasn't going to be pretty. My Cretan Archers, I was trying to shoot into these Taurus Spears, but these guys have a really good missile block chance with those large shields. I noticed that, however, Macedon for some reason put its Thorax Swordsman out onto the gate, and getting your eliminating these pikemen as fast as possible is definitely necessary, as it does a lot of damage to them. With regards to this flank, let's see what they were doing. Carthage was pretty much coming onto the walls unopposed, because we would have stretched ourselves way too thin. And frankly speaking, he was taking his time. He did get himself an army of Gallic warriors, decent army of troops, Carthaginian Cav, and his general's bodyguard. Perhaps I actually should have come around and killed him. Now noticing this, he was quite open. But I got very pissed off. I did lose a number of my noble cavalry over there because of these Taurus spears, and they did get damaged. But I was going around and I was preparing to charge into his missile units over there. My companion cav out here were doing their own thing. I'm trying to keep up because this was a really hectic game. Hillmen up to the walls for Seleucids, breaking huge holes into the walls, dealing a crap ton of damage to the walls. Perhaps this is the reason why the Tellinian player could have fallen back. Now, what he could have done is he could have held this gap, and that gap. Put his archers up here, and the Carthaginian player, this Seleucid player would not have managed to make it in. However, for some reason he starts to charge outside the walls and try to do damage that way. These hillmen did get a lot of damage done to them, so at least that happened. The wall over here is being taken. These Torque Swords are fighting Celtic Warriors, and these Taurus Spears are doing a lot of damage into the rear of these Celtic Warriors. The problem is, what is Carthage? Oh my god, Carthage just kept all of its chosen swords into the rear and yeah, engaged quite piecemeal. Not exactly what you need to be doing. On my end, the action was quite intense. I had militia hoplites coming off the walls, engaging my Iberian swords over there. I was trying to fight different variations of battles. I managed to get a charge with my heavy Numidian cavalry over here, and they did die, but they did manage to get a whole unit of fresh archers and damaging the other one. My cavalry over here, my companion cav, is pretty much annihilating the citizen cav, and at that point I realized they were so close to these archers that I might as well charge in. And look at that damage. That damage is insane. These archers are pretty much fresh. They just burst through. These companion cavalry are definitely a favorite of mine. They are... I wish there was a shock unit that was as good as them. They are not a shock unit, but they definitely act like one. That unit of archers got wiped off the map, and this unit of archers here, just 4 of these companion cav are just doing so much damage. Just absolutely shredding this unit completely and utterly. On the other hand, my Scutari are holding against these Taurus Spears. I'm trying to put, you know, as much fire support as I can. Trying some firing some arrows into the rear of that and holding that. TYLISSSS is just pretty much giving up the walls for free. No, he charged out. What is happening? What? Why? Why did he do this? This is absolutely insane. He charged his Celtic warriors against all of this. Of course he got wrecked. He was complaining. Dude, what? That's how your army vanishes. You charge outside without cav support. Oh man, dude, Yelani, don't do that again. If you watch this video, mate, do not charge your army outside like that again. Cause I mean, you lost so many troops. This cavalry is doing so much. I understand why you would want to do it, but these guys still have Torque Swordsmen. They have Silver Shield Pikemen, and they have a lot of archers left. This Citizen Cav is having a field day. Absolutely fantastic. The Arveni, meanwhile, made some holes into the walls, but slowly, you know, it wasn't pushing in properly. Like, that army needs to be here. Never do this, right? Never put a gap this big between your back end of the army and the front end. Yes, you need to send in your first troops, which are disposable to break in, but these army needs to be very close behind, especially since your ally is inside the settlement and is moving in. Now, for some reason over here, I appreciated Athens because he was right on this side, but yeah, this fight looked very messy from my end, which is very understandable. My companion cav are at 200 kills. They are down to 12 men. Honestly, they can't do much more because they've been depleted heavily. But at the same time, Macedon is pretty much gone. The Levy Pikeman over here is almost dead. Actually, did they get kills? They got 22 kills. I mean, my Mercenary Iberian Swords over here, 150 kills. These guys are still in decent shape with 66 kills, and these guys 70 kills. My archers could have done better, but definitely this guy pushed through my unit over here. Just completely pushed through my unit, and as you can see, which is fine, I guess. I'm not holding it against him, but definitely not very cool. I tried to bring my cav around here to do a few finishing blows, but it wasn't going well. My noble cavalry, on the other hand, was doing quite well. The Taurus Spears were finally breaking, and these Iberian Swords were fighting 2 units of the Taurus Spears, and they were going to get shredded, especially with the missile fire support on top. There were more Taurus Spears coming up, and I believe there were some Peltas. Yeah, these guys were raw Peltas. They were engaged with these Taurus Swords, but they got clapped easily. Now, the Cretan archers coming into the square, and Athens was giving them, you know, like waiting for them to come to him, which honestly in this scenario was better because this is too large for an army to hold. Like if he decided to yeah, he was losing his archers here. He needed to retreat those, but this is too large to hold one army. That's what I was saying. So just let them come in and then spring an ambush. Honestly, at this point though, after Yalani lost this area, he should have pulled back. He should have warned us, and we should have started pulling back, because then we were gonna lose. Now we needed these troops to be placed over here to support the center, because the center was going to really struggle. This was just a massacre, and these Torok swordsmen got 254 kills, and these got 70 kills. Again, my cavalry 77 kills, and the attacker wasn't that good, but Yalani's charge, Fetstop's charge, sorry, just was a waste, an absolute waste of man, because you can still, even though he just, again, I understand the walls have been completely and utterly destroyed, but you can still hold this location. It's very easily held. This gap here, and this gap here, and then you fall back to this gap. This should have been abandoned, and he should have made it clear to Scrappy over here that he needed to fall back, and because 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to die really easily. These Bactrian Hillmen still holding the walls and doing relatively well. But yeah, that was a different mistake on our end, one that we needed to address. Meanwhile, my Noble Cav is coming into these rear of these Torx Royal Peltasts, and doing as much damage as I can. They broke through. I'm trying to shoot at these Taurus Spears from a flank. He's shooting at my Cretan archers from a flank. As I'm saying this, I'm putting my Companion Cav back here to try and put some pressure on that army. As this is happening, he's trying to attack my Cretan archers more, so I push them a little bit forward to provide some support to my general, who was doing damage, but unfortunately will at some point here lose a lot of men. The Royal Peltas. My neighbors are deciding to have a party up there. I can feel the entire building shaking for some reason. But yeah, these Noble Cavalry down by around 13 men. I did manage to pretty much break so many of these. I got 120 kills on them. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm doing well. Half of my army is still alive. I should be fine. Then I realized the chaos that was happening here. I realized that Carthage was pretty much inside. Carthage was shooting at our ballistas. My ballista was pretty much still full ammo. And this ballista was trying to break this Greek ballista that here on the second layer of defense. Meanwhile, the Seleucus was moving in with his Scorpion and with his troops onto the walls, which was going to be very, very dangerous for us. These Taurus Spears are up on they're waiting for the chosen swords of Arveni to come in. This ballista was firing. Yeah. Now, Carthage over here did a really good job at target firing our artillery, and I was doing my best to try and do as much damage as possible, especially to his artillery. I was aiming for it, but actually no, this is the Athenian player who's trying to do as much damage as possible to the artillery. Now, other places for the artillery in this map are limited in certain areas, especially over here. The artillery placement is there. It's quite weak because you can get flanked quite easily, but this artillery here is providing some cover fire. Now he started falling back here. He's falling back to the center. I realized that for some reason Oatsworn were coming down this way. I'm like, dude, no, send Oatsworn to defend your area back here. He was moving his troops around a bit too much. He wasn't picking a solution and sticking to it. He was, you know, changing his ideas every 5 seconds and trying to figure out what the hell to do. And that was not working very well for us. I believe it is at this point soon I started trying to move my ballista in. Now I noticed if you fire your artillery towards this flank, like once you'll see it in a second. See, it goes through the. Ooh, that actually was a good shot. Gallic Hunters over there getting a decent amount of damage. As I'm saying this though, we have a problem over here because there isn't that much actually coming in. There are Silver Shield Pikemen, Torx Swordsmen, and a lot. Like this was more than enough to deal with this army, but unfortunately, for some weird reason, it was not the case. This ballista emptied its entire ammunition into just weird random targets, and we needed it to fight there. As I'm saying this, My artillery, pretty much he's trying to snipe it. I'm doing my best to try and damage his artillery, but I was firing it point blank. Like, honestly, I couldn't see shit. I was trying to fire as best as I can, but somehow he was hitting my artillery. So either was very lucky over there, but I couldn't see that happening anytime soon. These archers are being hit, and yeah, I mean, my artillery was just falling just so short of his troops. Now, the good thing about this, over here, these truck swordsmen needed to run forward. They had an opportunity, a golden opportunity to kill those Cretan archers. I don't understand. Daniel was just sitting there passively. I mean, he did play well, but he could have done a lot more damage there if he just assaulted the very open position now of Carthage. Yes, he has his cavalry here, he has a lot of things here, but this needed to be addressed really effectively. Now, as I'm saying this, Arveni charges in most of his chosen swords. It's Gallic Hunters are in. He still has his Oathsworn unit and a couple of chosen swords. And Bactria is engaging full blast. Now, as I'm saying that, the Thorax swords over here have wrecked the remains of those Celtic warriors, and they, you know, he's in proper full retreat. He's trying to capture that Gamma cavalry. There is no gap over here, something to hold that gap. For some reason, these Bactrian these Celtic Stingers are out of position, and this is definitely going to cost a lot. These tribal warriors did not need to charge outside this bit. I am not sure what was his idea. Over in this side, what happens is you just put your units holding between these locations. You're outnumbered now, you're losing. Do not sacrifice so many troops. Just charging in random positions. You needed to put one of these Celtic warriors over here to stop this charge, because all of a sudden your flanks are completely open, and the damage that's going to be given to you is going to be absolutely insane. This is Gamma cavalry. It's already 150 kills, and it's about to get another 200 kills just from the singular charge over there. Your units were not braced. 150 kills. It's like that single charge did so much. Now over here, I'm trying to charge in with my companion cav, and I charge into these Syrian archers, and I'm trying to do as much damage as possible with my cavalry. Now this cavalry should have done a lot more damage than it actually did. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Yeah, it did get a few decent kills, but what is happening? One of the archers turned around and started attacking it, and you know, trimming it down really fast. Yeah, the archers turned around. I managed to drop a couple of units there. On my end, I pretty much secured the location. And oh, alright, at this point, I charged in my general. Now, this is a mistake on my end. I mean, yes, definitely general needed to be charged in here, because I did a lot of damage to his Cretan archers. But when I did this, I should have told explicitly my ally to charge in as well. And unfortunately, my general just died there, and my ally sat there myself. My troops, I didn't move them forward. And we needed to, this was my big mistake. When you do that, look how disorganized the army is. Charge in and fight. You know, pick one unit at a time. So this unit goes there, this unit goes here, these two units just fan out, these two units fan out, these units charge in. Exactly what's happening over here. These units are charging in, and I'm supporting it with the remainder of my troops. Trying to do as much damage as possible. Trying to do, you know, hurt enemy as much as possible. Now, another option what I could have done is I could have got my cavalry outside, came back here and rear charged either his general or his Cretan archers, which are, no, these are Libyan peltasts. Okay, those were Libyan peltasts. For some reason I thought they were Cretan archers. Now his ballista got off, and that was really good for us. I wasn't sure why he retreated. Like, you know, he needed to commit over here, and in these scenarios, just commit, confuse his location, his armies, composition, everything, and then just charge in and do as much damage as you can. He needed to, yeah, we needed to just completely charge in and overwhelm the enemy as best as possible, or with all of our troops. Just form a proper line and fuck him up. Yeah, fuck his shit up. Yeah, this is it. Like, this is what I was talking about. Move behind his lines, engage his lines, combine, everything, right? Now, I was sending my Cretan archers, which were still fresh in specific locations, moving my Semite warriors, which were, again, barely seen fighting. They were just the cleanup crew, right? And I was just moving them in. I was making sure that the damage was being done. Now, while we are engaging here, this, yeah, he charged in everything into these Cretan archers. That is a big mistake. He needed to move these troops, attack this blob over here. These troops, he needs to set them up, and these troops needed to move and charge in that side. Archers are coming back. There's still pikemen here. Now, on this side, clearly, this side was completely lost. These Gamma Cavalry, 230 kills. These Thorax swordsmen over here were trying to hold, and this is when, you know, this engagement should not have been happening in this scenario, because Bactria was running out of troops, as it had to commit troops to defend this flank. This flank could have easily been won, but it was overcommitted. Like, this was overcommitment. This unit was overcommitted. You do not charge a Thorax swordsman. Yeah, there are 300 kills. They've done so much damage at that point. It's absolutely insane. You know, and now you exposed your rear to your tribal warriors, and one volley took your men 40 down. Now, as this is happening, the general is fighting chosen swordsmen over here, trying to break them, trying to save the archers. Fortunately, these Taurus spears did break, and these pikemen were being brought in. On the only bright side is that this was failing for him. My mercenary Samite warriors were running amok in his rear. I was charging left, right, and center, every position I could find. These Samite warriors were breaking with 37 kills, fighting against these Thorax swords. His Carthaginian cavalry was coming in. His African pikemen were surrounded. I pushed back his archers and general. I was recapturing the tower. You know, everything was going to our way. Now, here Macedon needed to charge in and try to get a decent rear charge on these Thorax swordsmen over here. We're fighting Libyan infantry to break that. The ballista is broken, and that was a really important job for us. I brought my missiles forward, and I was trying to provide, you know, cover fire, flanking fire, anything I could to do as much damage as possible. These veteran shields over here, veteran hoplites definitely did a good job at holding the line, and now they're fighting against, you know, they're fighting against a really strong unit, which is African pikemen. At the same time, I'm trying to support it. The the heavy command, the general's bodyguard, is charging into my Samite warriors, and I'm trying to do my best to kill it as fast as possible, to do as much damage as possible wherever I can. These Samite warriors over here. Okay. These Samite warriors over here, where are they actually? No, they charged into the rear of these Thorax swordsmen, and he did as much damage as possible. These guys broke into my rear and killed my missiles. That was a mistake from my end. So definitely that did a lot of damage to my missile units and killed as many as, you know, 20-30, which is enough to break my units in that situation. Mercenary Samite warriors in the back of these African pikemen, and yeah, I mean, at this point these Cretan archers are still full of ammo, but they are getting wrecked to smithereens, as there's nothing much they can do in this scenario. These Carthaginian cavalry moving in, but these Thorax swordsmen need to have moved in. This is the blitz moment. When you're blitzing an enemy down, just don't give him a chance to you know, to recover. Now, as I'm saying this, over on this side, we are in complete and absolute, you know, falling back completely. Bactria was definitely winning against the Arverni over here, and the Arverni was pretty much breaking. But these two units of Oathsworn, they did not need to be there. Their job was not to be there. Their job was to be on this side, holding this flank. And, you know, he was completely ignoring his flank in this game, apart from the time he charged out and then he gave up. You know, yeah, these chosen swords, these Gallic hunters, were not doing that well. So definitely it was, yeah, even this, you needed to run after these ballistas, because this was gonna cost a lot of damage to us. So it wasn't looking pretty. The fight still has 60 minutes to go, but yeah, these tribal warriors getting wrecked by Silver Shield Sword pikemen. His general, for some reason, is out here on its own, and yeah, this general needed to charge at those archers, and yeah, those archers now took a while, but he realized that they were, you know, these Silver Shield pikemen are doing very well. They needed to be broken as fast as possible. These Gallic hunters are being broken, at least on this side, and that was definitely an important thing that was happening. Some Samite warriors here still alive, 32 kills. We're just trying to hold them in place while we wipe up the rest. These Libyan peltas definitely providing a little bit of support over there. These Cretan archers are dying. The shield bearers over here are doing their best to survive and hold on. I was trying to rest a bit my troops because they were very tired. They were exhausted, and I was putting them into place. Now I must say the attack on the Carthaginian and the Arveni side was sort of okay. The Arveni definitely made a mistake leaving half his army back there, not engaging and using all of the possible, breaches, because there were a couple more breaches he could have done. But Carthage definitely did a really good job. Arveni needed to have done its attack a little bit earlier and needed to support more on this side rather towards this side. Now, Seleucids, I mean, it was a very unique situation, to be frankly honest. These pikemen over here were not having a good time against these Oathsworn, but these Oathsworn were being rear charged non-stop by the Gamma Cavalry, which is almost 370 kills. Definitely doing a good job there. It's ranked up twice. These Oathsworn over here are engaging in with a pike wall, with this Oathsworn unit of the enemy over there, the general unit. These Thorax swords are not having a fun time fighting on the side they are, and these other Thorax swords were getting surrounded and killed really effectively. These Oathsworn pretty much killed for free. There was need for someone to take out this Celtic Ballista, and perhaps that would have done by one of my units or one of Athenian's units, but we weren't aware of what was happening. Definitely the damage was being done at that point. So let's take a stock of the situation, shall we? What's left? We have a quarter of my army, so quarter of the Carthaginian army still alive, quarter of the Athenian army still alive, almost nothing of Bactria and TYLISSSS except some archers back here and a very broken unit of cavalry. There was a full-on retreat till TYLISSS's Oathsworn general was running back. He actually had just died. The Bactrian general was still alive. So this was the Hippeus Lancer general. Yeah, that Hippeus Lancer needed to be brought into the city over here. Take out the ballista as quick as possible. This Oathsworn general survived. Oathsworn general's here unit. Did he survive? No, he actually survived. He actually bloody survived that, and he killed all of those pikemen, which only got 32 kills. These Thorax swords over here, 200 kills. They were doing brilliantly. These Oathsworn did not do their job well. That's mostly because they're getting shot into the air. Now, at this point, if you're losing at this, you realize you're not making much headway. There are archers behind you. Charge the archers. Pull them back and charge into these silver shield pikemen. This flank could have been held if those silver shield pikemen were rear charged. As we're saying this, though, there is a full-on retreat with the remains of the troops. They're pulling back everything they have. This Gamma Cavalry general, for some reason, decided it was a good 510 kills. 510 kills. Decided it was a good idea to click through 4 or 5 units. We finally broke him, but it definitely did a significant amount of damage to my Cretan archers. Now, I believe that was all the missile units I had. Were they? Yeah, I only got 3 missile units because I focused more on different variations of units. So we're saying this, these shield bearers definitely were putting up a fight, and my Samite warriors were struggling, mostly because my units were tired and his units were not. The Hippeus Lancer over here is trying to pull out. Honestly, in this situation, he should have pulled into that. He had the opportunity to run into that, or even run and capture this tower and prepare him to charge into the rear. That was a situation where you could have pulled it. Now, at this point, if you see pikemen, you do not charge forward. You pull back towards the way you came. My archers still had a little bit of ammo left, and I was shooting at the pikemen, trying to do as much damage as possible, trying to be, a distracting little... I had like 1 or 2 volleys left, and I mean, I wasn't killing much, but killing 1 or 2 of those pikemen. These are really strong pikemen, and they... depleting them would have definitely done a lot of damage. This is the point I also noticed the Celtic Ballista was still alive, and I was like, oh crap, this is not gonna go well. So I just pulled back my archer unit, which I believe, it just went out of ammunition. I shot my last 2 volleys into these silver shield pikemen. I did destroy a number of them, but not nearly enough. They were recapturing their gate. Well, our gate, but they were recapturing it. The massacre on the field is insane. My units are spread very thinly around. The Macedonian player over here is somehow holding on with some weird reason. He is being rear charged, side charged, flanked. There is nothing that you know, he was holding on to, pulling back my troops and repeatedly cycle charging them in. Everything was exhausted, and you know, it's he probably would have won against these Thorax swordsmen. Trying to hope. I was hoping that my archers, yeah, my archers. I charged them back here and attacked that unit over there. Now these Syrian archers, they're moving forward. I'm gonna provide a little bit of an edge over there, a little bit of a lip, if you will. When you look at that, you say, "Oh, but they don't have that much left." The main problem, oh my god, the main problem with this army though is the fact that you know, our archers are fully depleted. We have nothing left that can fire at them in a proper battle, right? And meanwhile, they have ballista, which is pretty much full of ammo. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of archers, which are almost full health. Now, in this scenario, these Pipes Lancers should have charged into that. They were exposed. Like, you know, whenever you have a cav unit, just keep circling around, finding an opportunity. These guys were providing ample opportunities to be charged and to be cross-charged. And the Bactria in general was over here. He was dead, I believe. No, he was still alive, but he was very, you know, 30% of him were killed. He lost a lot of troops trying to hold these chosen swords over there. We finally broke through this side. I was trying to recapture this tower over there. And now, the ideal play would have been to come and capture this gate and hold the fight on the gate. So we spent, I think, a couple of minutes just staring at each other, waiting for our armies to rest. Both of us were very exhausted, and the balance of power is in our favor. So honestly, for us, it was, you know, this was half an hour. We were prepared to wait for half an hour to win the game, even though it's not the honorable thing. But then they started moving slowly forward, and they started using their artillery to whittle us down, and that would have been a big problem for us if we couldn't find a solution to it. So, what do you do in this scenario? Again, stretch your units as far as you can, move your units around, provide, yeah, see, so the Bactrian Scrappy is bringing his troops back out here. Myself, I'm bringing my troops to this side to provide a little bit of extra pressure. The moment I could find an opportunity, I was going to charge in. Same with these two, they were ready to go in. These are my Iberians and my Samite warriors. I didn't have much left. I have 42 Samite warriors over here and 73 over here. My Iberian swordsmen were very low, I mean 46. And I believe I had some Scutari. Did I? I'm not entirely sure. Like, yeah, I mean, at this point I fought 2 armies. I wouldn't expect myself to have that much, and honestly, it would have been easy if not for these archers having so much ammunition left. Just absolutely ridiculous amounts of ammunition. So the walls were being brought down, and we were just basically trying to hide these, you know, these walls. If they were broken down, we would have lost a lot of cover for our archers and our basically swordsmen. Athens had so much swords left, and yeah, we were trying to kill these chosen swords. Now those are not a threat. Those are really not a threat. Those units are not something that you should follow and attack. They're gonna break. They're 23 men. Their general is 46 men. That's almost all they have left in their army. These are the threat. This is what you need to focus down. These Syrian archers, definitely a pain in the ass, and something that is annoying to deal with, to be honest. Now these Samite warriors over here are in decent shape, but you know, I mean, they're half health, they're half strength. They will do some damage, but not much. And this is the point where we're waiting for them to move. We're waiting for them to have a blind spot. And I believe there was a blind spot over here. Eventually, if I realize, I notice it, and I bring my troops and I start stationing my troops over here, trying to surround them. I try to capture the gate again. I try to neutralize any damage that we might get from assaulting them, and try to take them out. You know, they've done a lot of damage to the walls over here. 60% of the wall is broken, 50%, and this ballista should be almost out of ammunition at this point. So, as it's going, yeah, moving my troops there. I'm slowly but surely trying to set up the situation. These Syrian archers are still pretty much full ammo. They were going to be needed to be taken out. Yeah, these archers are actually still have a lot of ammunition. Didn't realize we still had that much actually. So yeah, this was quite a nail-biting game. Mainly due to the sacrifice of Celtic Warriors spam. But otherwise, yeah, very fun match. And yeah, this is the point where I move my archers here, trying to bait some ammunition into them. I wanted him to waste some ammo into my troops. And I think my ally Scrappy over here mentioned that I needed to put my archers on top of the gate to try and protect myself because, well, mainly because this his general needed to come in, and his general was heavy shock cavalry, so it could have done a lot of damage to these archers if they managed to get in. Now, I'm not entirely sure what he's doing here. He's trying to break down this wall as well, do us so much damage, but definitely was going to work. Moving those archers there was definitely a plus. My Semite warriors over here were hidden, and I still believe they were tired. Yeah, they were still exhausted. You know, it's very hard, especially towards the end of the game, for your units to freshen up, especially when they've been moving around for ages, fighting so much. So yeah, these Cretan archers getting a little bit of a beating from this arrow tower, but recapturing that tower was definitely going to be a big plus. This game will be down to a wire, honestly, at this point. Seems we have the balance of power in our favor, but it is not the case. So these Semite warriors, yeah, you can see the play that we're trying to make. We've surrounded them. Hopefully, if you're in this scenario, you have a little bit more troops than we did. We did definitely still have a lot of troops, and we definitely did do our best to try and hold on. But you know, when one of your flank collapses, you start slowly falling back. You communicate with each other. You know, you ping. Remember, the F5 is so important. Just ping where the situation is. Don't just use the highlights. The highlights, use them after, especially, or if you're in voice chat. Use the F5 to ping, and it was showing the minimap very clearly. The APS Lancers are in position now. And this is when we spring our trap. I've captured the gate. I start moving in my Semite warriors, which are very tired. I move in on this side with some Iberian soldiers. I'm putting these Semite warriors up here in the open, and we start charging out of the settlement as they were just putting their Gallic hunters to figure out where the hell we are. As we're doing this, they're moving their silver shield pikemen to try and hold us. They notice the cavalry coming in, and honestly at this point, having managed to surround them in such a scenario was going to do a lot of damage to them, and they were going to struggle to hold on. I managed to charge in these Iberian soldiers inside the silver shields before their pike wall was set up, and I was just trying to pin them down, give the opportunity for these lancers to charge in. Now these lancers lost a lot of them due to missile fire. They were at 60. Yeah, they needed to charge in earlier. They did break through this Libyan infantry over there, and now are in the rear of these ballistas, are disengaged. These Syrian archers got a rear charge, and all of these troops can come out. How much ballistas? Yeah, these ballistas got a few really good shots. Now these Celtic Stingers again were obsessed in fighting against this, but yeah, I had Skutari left. Of course I had Skutari left. They were inside the settlement. Amazing unit. But at this point it was just a question of coming to here and doing as much damage as possible. I still had a unit left in reserve, and you need a unit in case something slips away, and this unit was basically just sitting there. It was out of ammo. It was an archer unit for two reasons. One, to make sure that we don't get the army loss penalty early on, and two, if they try to cap the gate in the center, there was a chance for us to survive. As we're saying this, these do not blow up your units this way. It's absolutely fine if it happens, but try not to blow up your units, as that will do a lot of damage to your own troops. At this point, I mean, the only units that I had left were these Semite warriors, which I was charging into these, where are they? These archers. The Bactrian general died, his unit died utterly, but it gave us enough time to get these Oathsworn and Thorax swords into these archers, and these archers were the problem. These archers, killing those archers, was going to give us a lot. Yes, we were losing over here. These Skutari were pretty much exhausted, but those archers, they had too much ammunition left, and they could have easily wiped up most of our units. If not killed all of them, they would have been able to, rout the rest. Now these Semite warriors, of course, are having a field day fighting these Syrian heavy archers, but these Syrian heavy archers have 14 armor, so they're a decent unit, and they have decent weapon attack and melee attack. So definitely takes a while to kill them. It takes a while to chew through them. They are by no account a light missile infantry. They are more something like medium or heavy infantry. I mean, Thorax swordsmen have 70, and these guys have no wait. Yeah, 70. These guys have 40. And he's trying to shoot, and this was doing a lot of damage to us. He was trying to shoot into the rear of these Thorax swordsmen over here, and we've managed to break them. These Silver Shield pikemen broke the pikemen over there, and now these Celtic slingers are definitely doing a lot of damage, as they are wasting the time of this Oathsworn unit, and that Oathsworn unit was going to be the end of the situation at hand. I did bring my Cretan archers a bit forward, because I was for a second scared that we were going to lose this, but at this point their army started wavering, army loss penalties was inflicted, and the game was over. It was definitely a very close game. Definitely we've lost this flank very hard. This battle over here went disastrously, but we went decent on these two sides, and I think on my end it was, I think I did really well because the player show seemed quite new, but I did take too much damage from the situation because he had good units, and you know there's only so much you can do to mitigate damage. So I got a really decent KDA ratio, almost 1:2. Definitely my best units were the Scutarii, the Samite warriors, and my companion cavalry. That did well. Then Daniel still had a lot of his troops alive. Unfortunately, towards the end, some of his troops started breaking without actually getting the results necessary, and his archers did horribly badly. Now, whenever you can, do not get the basic archers. Always go for the Cretan archers, or you know the most expensive archers. Archers are the one thing you don't skimp out on, because a single unit of good archers can break 3 other units, and that is more than value for money. Citizen Cav are not necessary, they're not very good. I'd prefer if you get something like Hippias Lancers or something of the sort. Scrappy did well, he still had a lot of ammunition in his 2 archer units back here. These Persian light archers got a little bit annihilated, and that's probably because they were focused down, and that happens when people see light archers like that. His Hillman did really well, his Torx pikes unfortunately not so good. The rest of his troops mostly did well, but you can see some of his troops that were surrounded, and when he was you know. Now, with regards to Fetstop, he did spam a lot of Celtic Wars, and they did a good job initially, but then, see, these barely did anything, and these were probably the ones that were charged out. These Tribal Warriors were surrounded, and they were killed early. These are stopping units, you know, you get 4 units of those, and you get less Celtic Warriors, and overall you do more damage. Now, with regards to Yoshi, Maksu, Pishu, I have no idea how to pronounce that. He did okay. I mean, his chosen swordsman needed to be closer, his ballista needed to be closer, his general did really well. The rest of his army, he sent it in 2 waves, which was absolutely horrendous. Yoshi did great, 515 kills on that Gamma cavalry, mostly on these poor Celtic warriors and Scrappy's army. The Syrian archers at the end didn't fire that much, so he might have needed to push in closer. The Hellman didn't do that much damage. His Silver Shields pikemen did a lot. So basically, he got 1,000 kills between 3 units over there, and then his Thorax swordsmen over here did really well because they were fighting very exhausted, very tired Celtic warriors out of position. Godfear, again, he didn't do that great. He only killed 800 of my men, so he struggled a lot, but mostly that was because he lost his archers to my cav charge. He did well with his Taurus Peltas, but then his militia updates, they're not something you bring when you're attacking. It's better to bring these 3 Taurus swordsmen instead of these. You need to bring 2 units of pikemen you're attacking, do not bring that. Citizen Cav is okay, but Macedon has light shock cav, and that's something you want to bring to the fight. Pablo Iglesias II, something, I don't know his full name. He did well, yes, he did get absolutely wrecked, but that's mostly because we surrounded him and we charged him in. If he was, allowed, given some support, honestly, we would have had a much tougher time against this guy, and he did have a really good roster. Perhaps I wouldn't have bought 2 African pikemen, but then again, pikemen can be really useful. I would have gotten Iberian swords instead of these 3, and instead of these I would have gotten a noble fighter, not gotten Libyan peltas. I would have gotten slingers because they're better, but then again, peltas is too much better on land battles. Anyway guys, that's the video. It's been 45 minutes in exactly 45 seconds, and I will tell you this: if you like the content, a subscription would be very much appreciated. If you want to submit your own replays, totalwarbro@gmail.com, send me an email there, and I will cast it. Explain to me what the replay is about, and we'll go through it. And with that, thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all safe. Take care and goodbye.